I don't have enough time. That is exactly what I want to dive into today in this lunch and learn because it's something I hear all the time and something that I want to dive into. I think it's really important. It's really easy for us to feel like we don't have enough time or literally not have enough time, especially when we're trying to do things like take our exams and we have everything else in our life going on. So that's what I want to go into a little bit today. Today, I want to talk a little bit about time. I just made a post about time, essentially. It's a great guide talking, so definitely go listen to it. But it's talking a lot about time and where our attention is and what we basically prioritize in our life and what we give time to. And it's something I hear all the time, all the time in terms of the exams is either I don't have enough time to study or I'm wasting my time or I don't want to take this extra course because I don't have enough time and all that stuff. And so if anyone is taking your exams right now, I'd love to go into anything specifically that you have. So if you're live on here with me and you have any specific questions, would love to go over it. That's what is so great about doing these lives is being able to connect directly with you. But if you don't, that's fine too. If you just want to hear a little bit about time and perspective and all that good stuff, I want to dive into that because time is really all we have, right? I mean, it's kind of an illusion and it's also a perspective. So some things might feel like they take a ton of time. Some things might feel like, they go by super quickly. So in a way, the time that we have is whatever we're working on is a perception of that. And so stuff like studying or taking your exams can feel really tedious. It can feel like it's taking forever, even if maybe it's only been like a month that you've been working at it. And then there's something like sitting for an exam and all of a sudden 3 hours have gone by and you're like, oh my gosh, how has 3 hours already gone by? And it's insane. So there's ways that we can utilize our time more effectively so that it feels like we have more of it. Hi, Kelly, how are you? So I just want to go into that. Like when you're studying and you have an exam coming up, how can you optimize your time so you're making the most of it and you're also not totally burning yourself out? So that's something I am really passionate about is going through the exam process without completely burning out, which means you're not just hitting it super hard where at the end of the day, you like can't even look at a textbook because you haven't enjoyed anything else. And a lot of that comes down to creating a really effective plan. So, hi, Kelly. Thank you. Yeah, it's about creating a plan, and it's whether it's with your exams or whether it is just with anything, is knowing what the end goal is in mind, what say an end date is, like when your exam date might be, and then creating some sort of roadmap to get you there. I mentioned this in the workshop that I had on Wednesday that goals are super important and it's important not to get too hyper focused on them where you start to get overwhelmed and your expectations are really high. But what they do is they create a roadmap so that we can properly plan out our time. And with something like the exams or anything that's a priority in your life, it's all about making it a priority. So what that means is saying no to some other things, saying, yes, I am going to be spending Sunday morning studying. If you have kids, it's having a spouse or someone helping with that side and knowing that it's not going to last forever. So that's the biggest thing we have to remind ourselves when we're in the chaos of the exam process is the more efficient we can make it, the faster we're going to be done. But when you have an efficient process and an actual plan that allows time for outside studying, then you won't get burned out, which means you'll stay consistent. And the better process that you have to do that, the faster you'll get done. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's so funny because I know so many people who after they take their exams and they're finished, it's like, what do I do now? I don't know what to do with all my time. Like, how did I used to feel like I never had time, but now there's this space in my schedule. And it's so funny because now I don't feel that anymore because it's been taken over by another priority. So if you're currently taking your exams, if that is something that you are passionate about, if you want to be done and you want to get it done, and it can excel you in life and bring you promotions and bring you pay raises and bring you new opportunities in life, then it's important that that is your top priority at this moment in your life. And what that means is that you make the time specifically for that. Now, I totally understand. Is anyone here taking their exams and have kids? Because I had a 10-month-old when I took my very first exam. And explaining to a 10-month-old that you don't have time to sit on the floor and play Barbies because you need to sit and read a book doesn't compute with them. So it comes with a little bit of extra finessing and figuring it out and planning, but you still can make the time. And when you set up certain blocks of time specifically for those priorities, then magically you have that space in your schedule for it. So I would have certain times where I would focus on studying. And then I would also have times where I would sit on the floor and focus on my daughter. And when you do that and you have that plan, then you're allowed to do those different things without any guilt, without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting on the floor and I'm playing Barbies right now, but really I should be studying. When you have the right plan and you have this prioritization pyramid, essentially, of like what you need to be doing and when, you can release that guilt because you know you've already worked on studying. You know you already have a plan in place, and you know that your attention that you need to be giving right now is whatever you're working on, like playing with your kid or studying. And so really the whole I don't have time is more a that's not a priority right now for me. And so I used to say, like, saying I don't have enough time was kind of like my go-to phrase. Sorry, I can't get lunch right now. I don't have enough time. Sorry, I can't work on that right now. I don't have enough time. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to make dinner. Let's just order out. And what I started realizing was, one, it makes it feel like you have less time. You're almost saying like, I don't have time, and you're focused on the fact that you have the lack of time. And instead is I would reframe it and say, I have the time, but right now, this is not my priority. Or right now, I want to spend my time focused on this. So maybe it isn't, I don't have enough time to make dinner right now. Let's order out. It's, you know what, making dinner right now is not a huge priority for me. I would rather spend my time doing X, Y, and Z. So let's order out. And so when you are going through your exams and you are feeling yourself say or feel like I don't have enough time to study right now, I want you to reframe that simple thing in your mind or even out loud and just re-say it out loud of, I'm not making that a priority right now. And then reflect on that. Does that align with what my goals are? Does that align with, taking my exam in 6 weeks? Because I'm literally saying that's not a priority for me right now. And it's so interesting how that little shift can make a huge difference. Because if you tell yourself, I don't have enough time to study, then great. Like there's not a whole lot to argue, right? You literally just said there's not enough time to study. But when you say studying is not a priority for me right now, then you're like, ooh, actually, I should probably make that a priority for me right now. What do I need to do otherwise to make that a priority? So it's a simple shift. It's something that can hugely help you, and it can really help with the time management of everything. So make sure Whatever your priorities are, that is the top of, the list. And that doesn't have to be your top priority forever. There will be a time when you are done with these exams, you've passed. You never have to look at an ARE thing ever, unless you end up coming into the ARE resource world like me. But you never have to look at an ARE resource again. And now you'll have all that space for that next priority. And if you don't have kids yet, this is a great opportunity to make that a high priority. And sometimes that might be saying no to a friend to do some stuff. But again, that priority will shift eventually. And I will say with that, making sure you understand those, priorities and commitments, you still have time to do things that are enjoyable, like a friend's birthday party or something. That's a priority, right? It only comes every so often. You can shift your time at that moment to make that a priority and spend your time doing that and then study another time. So it's not about just making your one and only priority these exams and you can't do anything else. It's about balance. It's about how you perceive the time that you have and how you're spending it. So that's my biggest shift with I don't have enough time. There's all sorts of other ways that we can look at time and our schedule and how we are utilizing our schedule, how we are creating, how we're spending a lot of our time, because it's really easy to get sucked into emails or social media or other things. It's great to have reprieve from studying or like work or intense things, but you just want to make sure that there's balance with that too, so that the way you are spending your time is always a top focus. So going back to what I said earlier about reframing the I don't have enough time and making it more of, is this a priority for me right now? You can do the same exact thing for if you find yourself working on something and you start to feel guilty about, hey, I should be working on something else. Just ask yourself, is this a priority for me to work on right now? And sometimes watching TV and relaxing is a priority. It's a priority for mental health. It's a priority for just disconnecting for a minute. But if that's like 12 hours in a row, then maybe that's not a priority. So it's literally just like stopping and reflecting as you are moving through your day-to-day life. And it's amazing to see where we find our time. And when we're more conscious of how we are spending that time, it's a lot easier to see where it's going, because it's really easy to go about your day and like certain days it's like, how is it even 1:30 on a Friday? Like, first of all, where did this week go? Where did this day go? And it doesn't necessarily mean you weren't focused and working on priorities. It just means that's sometimes the way life works. So stopping and being really present to what you are working on now, asking yourself, is this a priority? Is this not a priority? Does this bring me joy? All of those things. And it will completely shift how you perceive time and the time you have. Because sometimes the time that you spend sitting in the garden or playing with your kid is the time that is important. And I used to be guilty of saying, I don't have enough time. So sitting on the floor playing Barbies felt really like agitating for me. Like I felt like I don't have enough time to be doing this. Like and so I'm sure that subconsciously my daughter could feel that. I'm like, okay, how can I like keep moving, And I have had to shift that and be like, this is what I'm spending my time on now. And this is really important. And this is where my attention is right now. And 10, 15 minutes of this with full attention is going to be so impactful. And then I can go focus on whatever other priorities I have. So there's a little snippet about I don't have enough time. I hope that that was helpful, even if it was just a little tweak that can really help you. I am going to be putting this up on the podcast so that people can, come back to it when they're feeling like, I don't have enough time, I don't know what to do. Or if you're taking your exams and you're feeling like you've run out of time, it's always important to just come back to what is happening at the moment and how what your priorities are. And yeah, time is kind of all we have, but our perception of it is one of the most important things that we can do. So get yourself a proper plan so that you know what to work on, you know what the next step is, you know what your priorities are. You aren't just, looking at a ton of textbooks without knowing where to go from there. You have an idea of what the next step is, and then you can stay focused and feel good about what you're doing. So if you are on here, if you're taking your exams, I do want to let you know enrollment for Mind Over ARE is open until Monday. So just a couple days. And this is my signature ARE program. You're going to get exactly the plan that you need for your exams. And we have group coaching, we have study groups. It's an 8-week program where we dive deep, and you come out at the end with the fastest protocol essentially for passing your exams. And we have actually had people who are halfway through the program pass exams that they have not been able to pass in literally years. So it's an incredible program, great camaraderie, great group sessions where you can collaborate with other people. It's an incredible program, and we start August 1st. And so enrollment for this group is open until Monday or until the spaces fill. So I highly recommend jumping in there if you are taking your exams, and you could be done by the end of the year, which is, I know, a lot of your goal. So if you're interested in that, you can just DM me, join, or just shoot me a message, or you can also look at some of my past posts, or you can also look in my bio. There's going to be tons of information in there. Abeli, how does this work for alumni? I did send out an alumni email that you should have gotten, but go ahead, you can DM me and I'll give you more info about that. And I hope everyone has an amazing day. I have to jump into a client meeting at 2. So thank you for being here with me. I've been enjoying doing these lives. I want to try to do them more often just because it's fun to, I didn't even know really what I was going to talk about today. It just came out. So I feel like I kind of feel the vibe of what people need, and then that comes up. So I appreciate everyone for being here. And if you have any questions about Mind Over ARE or anything, my resources, how I can help you, shoot me a message and I will get back to you right away. All right. Have a wonderful Friday. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. I will see you. Oh, thank you. I need to get back to playing the guitar. It's been too long. All right. I'll see you all probably this weekend. I think I'm going live tomorrow to answer a ton of Mind Over ARE questions too. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I almost forgot. So yes, if you want to come in and ask more questions specifically about Mind Over ARE, come on in there too. Okay. Happy weekend.